most recognised or most recognised social media experts.
No, I must stop you. I hate the word expert. Seriously, 100 times out of 100, if someone introduces me as an expert, I get very upset. There are no experts in this game, we're all practitioners. So can you please reintroduce me as a practitioner?
So Andrew, a practitioner of social media marketing, will pick us up.
Thank you. I mean, like Andrew Roll from People Browser, I'm the CEO of the UK. I do make a point of saying that because I get tired, as probably all of our panels do, of all the gurus come and experts come on and say we know everything. No one knows everything. We're all learning. So I try and make a point of saying that. Obviously, I'm from People Browser. I'd like to introduce my esteemed panel. On my right, Jonathan Palmer from Brandwatch. We've got Tammy from Marketswood. We have Josh from Conversational and Andrew from Synthesio. So what's interesting is we're all, in a way, competitors. And so if we start fisticuffing each other, someone will have to drag us off the stage. I thought what was interesting, though, if we just start off with a show of hands, we're all from paid social media tools. Who here uses free tools? Most people. In fact, this morning I got 2 DMs from an agency who DM'd me the sort of thing you see from a spam. The risk with using these free tools is that you never quite know what you're giving your Twitter credentials away from. Who here is using a paid tool, is paying money for a tool? About half and half, okay. So I think one of the things we want to talk about is, when do you use free tools, when do you upgrade and invest in a paid tool like one of ours? I think also it would be good to just run through the panel and get their impressions, because I don't know any of you in the room in terms of why you're here. I'd be interested in almost reversing it, to go through one by one and think, why do you think our audience are here? What do you think they need to know about social media monitoring and engagement? Giles, what do you think the things are keeping these guys awake at night?
Thanks for that, Andrew. Bit of a hospital pass. So I think that the breadth of the audience and most people that I am speaking to tends to be the full range, from beginners who say beginners. Don't be patronising, but people that don't have an economic metric associated with it, let's say, within their business, and who are kind of just figuring stuff out and learning as they go, and who've been told by somebody internally, can you look at this for us, through to people that are running complicated multilingual, multi-channel, multinational programs. So it makes it very difficult to actually address an audience which breaches that kind of range, broaches that kind of range. So I think that people will have lots of different requirements for today, and hopefully we can get into questions, because that will make the format better than I can.
Tammy, what's your crystal ball tell you about our audience?
Actually, could I do a show of hands rather than assume that I know everyone here? How many of you have a social media team of 1? How many of you have less than 5? Interesting. Okay, so it's a mix. Because what I've noticed is that even larger companies, even companies that you would think would have a big team, often have a very small team. So I think some people might be here to find out whether that's the appropriate way to run social media, whether it has to always be personal, whether there has to always be some level of human engagement, what one can automate and what one should be monitoring. Just a guess.
Great. Josh?
So I think when you're looking at the general kind of social media management and monitoring space, if you just go from the outside and look in, you see hundreds of different companies and different vendors and different tools. And it can be very difficult about a lot of knowledge as to who exactly is doing what and what you as a company actually need. I think there's still a lot of confusion in the market. So I think probably what would be helpful for people here, and hopefully they'll agree with me, is to help them understand what they need and what the tools are available.
Okay, what do you think's keeping them awake at night? Awake in the day?
Young children, I think, possibly you're here for the day because you're very interested in the acquisition and retention of customers and how to use social media to do that. If you're listening already or using a variety of tools, perhaps you're struggling from data paralysis. Maybe you've got too many metrics, but not enough actionable insights. And I do think a lot of people have been dabbling with listening, measuring and monitoring what they're doing on social. But I think it's still quite rare for there to be a joining of the dots between the investment in that sort of tool, the actionable insight, and being able to point to a decision that's been made better as a result. And so hopefully what we'll be talking about are things like being able to listen to your customers, to understand their pain points in their journey, offering, struggling with unifying your brand and your presence across channels, and turning those listening insights into action and then results.
I think one of the standout comments from the Diageo presentation, I actually tweeted this, was, engagement is nice, but did it sell more run? I mean, most of you here, you're here because someone said, how do we get this social thing happening? And what's the ROI? We hear this all the time. But at the end of the day, you've got to sell more widgets. And sometimes social doesn't get involved with that. So when people say, I need more followers, I need more likes, I say, what is the comms objective? What are you looking to achieve? And then and only then do you layer on the different channels available. So maybe saying with you, Katrina, who should be responsible in an organisation for monitoring? Should it be one person or one team, like we've had a show of hands, or should it be across the board like Delta, that have 60 people that can respond? Who should be charged with that, and what are some best practices, mate?
There are two aspects. One is monitoring and listening, and one is the engagement piece. So in terms of the parts of the business that can benefit from the insights that you might gain from listening, we work with organisations where multiple departments are involved. So it could be product innovation teams, kind of almost crowdsourcing ideas or finding out what customers might want in 5 years' time. We're doing that for Nissan, for example, in terms of the car of the future. It could be PR and commerce teams wanting to understand what people are talking about and care about in relation to the brand. It could be customer experience teams, and we're doing some really great work with Microsoft where they're trying to understand what impacts most on customer satisfaction, and they're comparing the data they get from online with the data they're collecting on surveys, and looking at the two to get a richer understanding within one dashboard of what their customers are saying they want and don't want. On the engagement, so it works best actually when monitoring is owned at a strategic level, and you make sure that it's not siloed within an agency or within one part of the business, but the insights are shared and fed into the teams that can take action. From an engagement perspective, we see a lot of companies outsourcing the actual engagement piece, and I kind of think that's like paying someone to go on a date for you.
You can do that, I think.
You can do that.
That's called something else.
Yeah. But we see two parts of engagement. One is community building, so part of the marketing function, and the other is online customer service. So and depending on the type of brand you are, there can be enormous benefits from engaging online and answering customer queries online.
Yeah, I should just add, we've definitely seen a really strong movement this year among a lot of companies where they're actually starting to really plug in their proactive customer service teams to answer queries, in Facebook, in Twitter, and other places. We certainly think that's going to be a really increasing trend over the next couple of years.
Yeah. It's a real challenge to sort of plug in the online and offline. I did some work for a large well-known credit card issuer I can't name. And I said to them a challenge, I said, you're a very big organisation with an amazing call centre, and you also have a Twitter presence, but you're paying the Twitter tax. And the Twitter tax exists because once you say to the world, we have a Twitter page, we have a Facebook page, we're open 9 to 5, tweeters. You then pay tax for all of the downstream problems that you have had in your company for 30 years. A lot of companies rush to have a social presence before they rush to fix those problems. And guess what happens? You hit the social channel, you get stuck in the old way, and you tweet and you amplify the fact that the system really, really is broken. So you need to be ready for that. But what I said this challenge for this card issue was, why don't you volunteer, why don't you, in terms of when you have a call coming in, why don't you ask them permission to link their social presence with their CRM that you've got on them? And so it might go big up with this, calling card issuer. Thanks, Mr. Gruel. Just before we go, are you on Twitter or Facebook? Yes, I am. Can we have your ad name? Why do you want that? And always ask what you're going to do with it. We want to link that to our CRM, so when you actually have a complaint, we'll actually be able to get to you a lot faster. The mobile phone companies like Vodafone and O2 had teams of people. BT had 25 people behind the scenes doing Twitter. And when I tweet, and I know on the call, I tweet call centres, they know that, oh, that's that Andrew Brill again complaining. But they then can look me up to say, what sort of value is he to Vodafone as a customer. And so the challenge I set the company was link the two together, and they are thankfully doing this. It's not easy. Privacy laws in the UK are a nightmare for this, but if you ask and you tell the user what you're going to do with it and they'll have a better experience, it may happen. So you'll see some things happening fairly soon where people will be doing this. But Tammy, what's been your experience in terms of where the pain point or where the opportunity sits in social media engagement and monitoring in the company?
Well, I think, just to go back to what you guys were talking about with customer service, I think what's interesting is a lot of customer service is already coming through Twitter and coming through Facebook, and it's important to be able to identify that and then send it to the right channels. I think people think once they have a Twitter account that they have to do all their customer service on Twitter or on Facebook. So at Market Me Suite, we actually integrated with a great company called Zendesk, so that if something comes through Twitter, you can turn it into a Twicket. And that goes to a long form that is actually right part of your customer help desk. And this way, whenever something comes through, I send it to our girl Nikki, who's in customer support, make it a Twicket. She then handles it. I moved it off of Twitter, but it will tweet the person back. So it's using the channels to bring yourself to the right places. Because I had a bad experience about 2 months ago. I actually wrote about it on social media today, where I tried to troubleshoot with a customer on Twitter, and it just didn't go well. I couldn't do it in 140 characters. I had a one moment and forgot that I had the Zendesk integration, and they weren't very happy. And then I remembered this is why you have to separate out your engagement, your marketing, and then also your CRM in the right places. But use social media to get, because that's going to be the first point of contact.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I think it does depend on the nature of your company and the kind of nature of the customer service you're doing. I think if you're kind of a B2B or a smaller company, it might make a lot of sense to kind of shift stuff off Twitter. If you're kind of a major retailer and you've got hundreds of thousands of fans and you're having massive interactions through Facebook or something like that, then it can just prove, the only way you can actually do that is to plug in your customer service teams directly into Facebook. You can't have like a community manager shifting thousands of comments off into a different channel, which just makes the customers unhappy in lots of cases. And we have actually seen some cases where companies have kind of tried to have a situation where people complain on Facebook and they just say, oh, get in touch with customer service, or someone from customer service will be in touch, and it can actually make...
See, that's not what I'm saying, though. What I'm saying is using the actual channels, and the reason I use Zendesk as an example is because they offer this thing called Twickets. So you're actually keeping them on social media, you're keeping them on Twitter, but you're able to use the power of being able to assign it to the right person, and then it tweets back to them. So as far as the customer is concerned, they're just seeing a link to a ticket. We found that works well, especially for a tech company that could often have troubleshooting things that you can't handle in 140 characters.
Let me just add a little to that. So I think both of you are kind of right. The issue is someone has to own the problem, and when you're on social media, if you hand it downstream, you get Twitter tax hacking that I mentioned before. So there's got to be a hybrid between someone owning the whole end-to-end. Now, Vodafone in Australia, one of my customers last job, they now have 20 people, and they are authorised individually, if someone complains, they can make a decision on the spot to refund $500 onto their account. So someone can actually make a decision there and then, rather than refer it to a manager to say, we're very sorry, we're going to refund. So I think there's a hybrid between giving someone a Twicket, sending it downstream, and then forgetting about it, because guess what? Probably on Twitter, it's a 45-minute turnaround. The great thing about Twitter is it's asynchronous. So I did something one day, I called BT and I tweeted at the same time. The time elapsed to fix the problem was the same, except this one was 45 minutes listening to the fact that I was a very important caller. The Twitter experience it was asynchronous. I could go and get on with my life and know that they were taking a while, and he kept informing me, I'm going to fix this. Then he said, can I call you? And I tweeted my number and he called me. So I think there's about an ownership issue as well. You can't hand it back into the mothership because it will get dealt the same way. The reason I do tweet and I avoid the call centres is because I expect someone to be there who has a higher level of authority. And why BT have 25 people? They have 2,500 different products. So that person in the BT tweet centre is able to handle multiple channels. The reason you get put through to a push one, push two is they want the one particular agent that on Wednesday can deal with the problem because it's purple. So I think we need to be careful. Giles, haven't heard from you yet. What's your view?
Okay, so a couple of points really. I think obviously Twitter customer service, there's a natural kind of affinity look up there. Where that crosses over into reputation is an interesting one because Twitter is not indexed by Google. Tweets fall off the bottom of Twitter pretty quickly. Twitter itself won't give you search results going back more than a week.
I can help you with a company that does that. We've got 1,000 days and 55 million tweets if you like them.
Very nice. It's more. So I think it's an interesting. But whereas if somebody posts something on a forum or on a blog or whatever, then it stays online. It's indexed. People find it. So there's a difference. I think just a small. I was just trying to make a small point there, really. But my bigger point is we've done some analysis on the top 200 brands in the UK and the US, and to see how many of them actually do this, how many of them respond to questions online and problems, and even just responding to when they're directly at it, right? So, and it's surprisingly small. It's something like 5% in the UK and about 8% in the US. So I think that, I agree with everything that you all said. It all sounds spot on, but I think it's earlier stage than maybe the impression is that's coming out of this panel. And I think in a couple of years' time, call centers for bigger brands and social media teams for smaller brands and agencies, those are probably going to be the guys that are handling this sort of stuff. But it's still really early stage, and people with a lot of money and a lot of reputation to win or lose, they're not doing this that much right now.
So here's the thing, 12 years ago there was a thing called the web that we all came across, we're all old enough to remember, and back then it was, should we have a website, should we have a web presence? And we all know that the small and nimble companies that adopted it very quickly can appear bigger than the little guys. So I'm just wondering, thinking aloud, I agree that there will be a very long lead time to move from what's happening today with some of those super brands and Twitter through to the all singing and dancing. But is there an opportunity for those in the room that are smaller brands
no question.
and can look
No
really
question.
smart and really professional using social media?
Absolutely, 100%. And if we take our industry, and we look at the biggest success in our industry, which is Radio 6, they nailed this a couple of years ago. They had 20 community managers about 12 months ago. They were basically all over kind of the social networks, pushing their messages out there, basically kind of just looking like they were way bigger than they were, and that just snowballed into business for them. So, there's no question that that's a massive opportunity. I'm just saying that there is a danger when people like us and who do this every day sit here and talk about stuff. It comes across as this stuff's being done right now by everybody, and so in my experience, some people can be sitting on the other side thinking, Jesus Christ, we're way behind the curve. In actual fact, the stats show that very few companies are doing this. So there's a big opportunity, but the reality of today is that it's not mainstream.
So I think that's true, but I think there is actually a big shift starting to happen. And I've been talking to companies about doing Facebook and Twitter stuff now since like 2007. And this was the first year we really started to see a lot of companies start to take control in-house. Most companies we speak to now have a social media manager in their marketing team starting to take control of this. The next stage is as it kind of gets more integrated into the rest of the business, like you were saying, different parts of the business get integrated with the analytics, with the customer service team. And that's a shift that we're just starting to see now, but I think over the next kind of year or two it's going to happen.
I agree with that. Absolutely.
What do you think of the stumbling blocks? Is it a cultural issue that the smaller companies can move faster, but the big ones have to have everything improved? I read the other day, or heard the other day, that a particular mobile phone manufacturer, tweets take 2 months to get approved. I couldn't believe that, but I haven't tweeted them. Seriously, I'm not singling out BlackBerry at all, but they haven't applied any of my tweets because they're probably still being approved or being annulled. It's just crazy. So is it a cultural issue that once you get the business prevention department, that's the lawyers involved, it just takes a lot?
So I think it's a couple of issues. I think one of them is that the big company, you have these different departments who are responsible for different things, and they really have to work together to make social media properly. So there might be a Facebook account or a Twitter account that are being set up by marketing, and then they're trying to respond to everything, and then customer service needs to be involved, but how do they work together in a way that the marketing team are happy? And then you have the board who are worried about what the customer service agent's going to say, and they want to get a manager to approve the tweet that goes out, and then how do they get, what kind of stats go back? And so there's a lot of people who need to be involved and work together, who haven't been working together in the past. I think that's the biggest stumbling block for big companies.
Katrina, you're publicly working with Nissan. You can tell us about they're a great customer to work with. They get this. They're actually looking at how they reorganise their company to take advantage of what you're doing for them. Is that something we can talk about?
Yeah, Nissan are interesting because they managed to secure at a mere regional level a very significant centralised budget for monitoring their main sites. And so we're now rolling out monitoring for them in 28 countries across EMEA and also India. And we're doing monthly reporting, and all of these reports are getting fed into their senior leadership team meetings every month. And they have also purchased a large number of seats for our engagement platform. But I think they're quite rare. I mean, the benefit to them is they get a consistent methodology across all those markets and languages, so they can benchmark how they're doing. We're working with them to produce something that we're kind of calling social NPS, social Net Promoter Score. Not as tried and tested as the real Net Promoter Score, but we're trying to help them benchmark themselves against their competitors, looking at positive versus negative sentiment, which we do by human beings for accuracy, and seeing shifts in that sentiment and customer satisfaction so that they can use that to drive business decisions. So they're an example, but I think they're actually quite rare in terms of the fact that they pulled together a cross-functional team. So within the decision-making panel on the RFP, there was someone from customer service, someone from PR, someone from digital, someone from a broader marketing team, and they pulled the budget. Other brands we're working with, like Johnson & Johnson, centralised the decision-making around which monitoring provider to use, but the budgets still sit with each category manager, brand manager within each country. So what we've got there is an example of we're about to embark on 35 different projects in 12 countries where, you know, the manager for Nicorette said, yes, I want to start monitoring, as has the person for baby care, as has the person for Regain, for example. And we've had to come up with a business model to service that and consistency.
Not easy. Guys, anything else you'd like to add before you move on to something else?
I think one large company that does it very well, does the social media engagement very well, is American Express. Similar to what you said with BT, I had an experience where I saw my APR was higher than what MasterCard was offering. I sent them a tweet. Within about an hour, they sent me a tweet back, and I DM'd them, and we got it all taken care of. Now, this is a very large company that appeared to feel very small when I was talking to them. So if you're a big company, I think you need to appear very human, and if you're a small company, I think you can use it to appear like you're bigger. So I think you can play both sides of it depending on the size of your business.
They're all my clients, so I know it intimately because I trained them to do that. The challenge is to get the right sort of people behind the glass in terms of behind the Twitter thing. So I know personally who actually runs the different accounts. And it takes a quirky kind of person. And what they've done, most companies, Vodafone included, they've taken people not from the phones directly, but more from a web environment, so dealing with emails and those sorts of forums, and put them in on the Twitter channel, because you kind of need someone that can handle almost anything and has a very conversational, pun intended, approach to it. In fact, the guys in Brighton, there are 2 or 3 that are running it, they used to tweet things about what the weather was like and those sort of things. And in the first 4 weeks, the Amex execs nearly had a heart attack because it wasn't all on brand. And eventually they calmed down and realised that this is a new channel and it needs funky, cool people to respond to it, have a tone and voice. So you can't write a brand strategy manual around Twitter tone of voice, it has to evolve. And so you've seen only 1 person in Brighton and 6 in the US that are doing it. So fairly small team doing all this, but they seem to be getting it right.
I think there's going to be a challenge to kind of continue exactly what you just said. You know, as this scales up, and if you're plugging in kind of 30, 40, 50 customer service agents, you know, you need to pull those from your former customer service agents. And we have seen companies train those people you know, to be kind of social media savvy. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're getting involved in all the kind of community management and general updates that are going out. What we've seen quite often is that you might have a team of 30 agents or something working alongside social media managers in the marketing department who are responsible for more of the chatty kind of interactions. The customer service agents having more of the transactional issues.
Well, no real example, Vodafone in Australia started with 3 or 4 agents that were all very much like the Amex lady. They then went to 20, and the guy I was dealing with there said that he ran, I just had a terrible week. I've had to spend 4 days training all the new people about what's this social media. So they were running out of people that were the right sort of people in the organisation, and they had to get the standard people that were normal sort of customer service people. And he was finding it, they had to do a real education. So they actually were running out of the right sort of people, even Vodafone, to do it. It's not easy to do, to get it right.
But I do think that, you know, normal agents, you know, normal people, can be trained to be kind of social media savvy. And I think companies maybe are slightly scared of that because a lot of CEOs aren't social media savvy themselves. But I think once we overcome that, then we'll see kind of much wider adoption.
Just like a break, any questions from the audience? Anything, Bernie, you'd like to ask us? Agree, disagree from things we've raised already? Just before we move on to another topic. Up the back there, I might see if we get a microphone too. If you could just also tell us your Twitter name and what company you're from, so we can follow you.
You might need to shout, because
Microphone's coming. Maybe just throw it like a boomerang.
Yeah, I was going to go outside, but you can't.
My name's Andrew Barnes. Twitter name is Andrew_Barnes. I'm an independent. One of the things that strikes me is whilst we're in this brave new world of engaging with things like customer service, is that at some point the real world of the big corporate is going to hit us. That there are compliance issues. You record what's going on in the call centre. You archive all your emails. What happens to all those conversations that are happening on Facebook, on Twitter, on others? That are just as much a liability as much as a benefit moving forward. And does Pam have a view on how to address that issue of future compliance?
Well, I think that the law hasn't caught up yet. I know in Australia, one of my clients, Commonwealth Bank there, legally, under what they call ASIC, which is like FSA rules, every interaction has to have a ticket number. So if I say Commonwealth Bank stink, that is actually opening a ticket to say there's a complaint. Now, legally, they would have to follow that through the whole process. Of course they don't, and ASIC can't keep up with that. So I think that the law needs to catch up as well. Having said that, though, I think there's a huge compliance issue in the US at the moment where if I'm a bank employee, they've locked down Facebook and Twitter to the nth degree. I can't get on it. But I'm having a bad day and I tweet from my BlackBerry, personal BlackBerry, I'm having a really bad day and this new CEO is coming in tomorrow. Market-sensitive information. I think there's going to be a compliance issue that will hit the UK fairly soon where banks have to look at what's happened with UBS. Are employees saying things they shouldn't, and are they aware they're saying things they shouldn't? They might be liable. What's the panel think about liability and tweeting twickets?
I think it's a very tough one. I think it's a very gray area still because I think that people now have a very personal profile and just about, is there anyone in this room that doesn't have a Facebook profile? Be brave. Okay, not one. And I think that is a very personal thing that you should be able to have, but if you are attached to a brand, like my community support girl, I tell her, well, she can't, go and tweet out pictures of her drinking vodka on a Saturday night because our customers are actually looking at her, even though that's her personal profile, they're still finding her, they're still doing that. So I think the law, to some extent, is going to have to catch up, but I think there's also going to have to be sensitivity around, we're all social people right now, and we all have this social presence, and I don't think people are going to want to take jobs that says, well, you can't have your life beyond this office. You are the brand all the time. People have a personal life. So it'll be interesting. I don't have an answer, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, so we're certainly seeing legal liability issues are kind of one thing, and there's certainly some important considerations, especially for people like pharmaceutical companies, finance companies who have a legal obligation to respond. But actually, just in terms of everyone, if you're a retailer or if you're whatever, and you're actually starting to do customer service issues properly through social media, I think there's been a kind of cowboy period for a while where you've had kind of one or two people just kind of managing everything and kind of doing what they want. And as you're actually plugging in teams of people, managers want to be able to see who's responded to what, who's done what. Do we have an SLA for Twitter? Do we have an SLA for Facebook? How are we tracking that? And that's something something that we're working a lot on is how companies get that, and more and more companies are going to be looking for that as they start to take this as a kind of serious business operation.
Is the panel seeing that from 12 months ago to now, people are really investing and they're really saying this is serious? One of the tweets was there that came through from Underscore Identify, so I completely agree that CEOs need to be trained as much as other staff. Are we at the point where we need to go and infect all the C-level people that this is the new world?
Well, the way to do that is to show numbers that actually show the cost benefit analysis, show return on investment. And the way that tends to work is kind of domino effect. So if some forward-thinking organisation in an industry does it well and shows a benefit and shows a return on investment, then suddenly there's this everybody else kind of rushes to get on board. So I think that's what will happen, and it's just a natural course of events.
So hopefully we answered your question there. Question to your left. Right, sorry. Stage left.
Hi, my name's Tootie Roy, and I'm a co-founder of a company called FanRank, which is a
gamifying the experience of being a fan. My question is, to what extent are you all and other companies in the space monitoring what's being said within users' own social graphs versus in public fora like Twitter?
When you say within their own,
Like, for instance, in a Facebook context, what people are saying within their own Facebook communities.
that's assuming it's public. The problem with Facebook
Well, no,
is
that's exactly my question.
if it ain't public, one, very few people will see it, and two, legally we're not allowed to grab it. So it's a challenge for Facebook.
You are if the user gives you permission, right?
Exactly, and that's what I'm getting at.
There's very little you can actually do with that though. So a user might be able to give an application permission to see their newsfeed, for example. But you can't share that. You can share that.
You can share with the user, right? You can share analysis for them.
Yeah, you can share
So
that.
if you've got a user who's really active on Facebook and has I don't know 20 or 30 different posts a day and goes back, or a company page that's private network, then sometimes there's some really interesting data in there. As long as they give like an application like ours, probably any of us, permission, then we can grab that data. But then we're under a very strict relationship with that person, so that the data is only visible to them.
Right, well, and there's some big regional differences around that as well. Obviously, the privacy rules in the US are a lot more lenient. But it sounds like there's very little going on to look at what's going on within the conversation in the user's own social graph.
And brands all the time say, I want to hear everything that's happening on Facebook. And when you tell them the way it really is, they go, you realise that? I can see the page. Why can't I? It's a real legal minefield, technical and commercial as well.
That being said, though, Facebook just recently announced different permissions that you can do. So you can have public posts, you can have posts to your friends, and similar to the way Google Plus has done public posts and posts for your circles. So we'll see if people really want to make things more public. There might be more public data.
Absolutely, but obviously Facebook, any privacy issue which comes up that is negative is going to have a massive effect on Facebook, a negative effect on Facebook, so don't be careful about this sort of stuff. There is one other kind of backdoor area where I'm not quite sure how this is going to play out, but when you add an app to your Facebook page, you often give it permission to do various things. So the app providers there have aggregated data at a user level as well. I mean, I don't think you can do very much with it, but there's an awful lot of user data around things like if you took some kind of test, some personality test or something like that, then that data is sitting on servers that are outside of the Facebook environment, and that's an interesting area that could kind of mushroom in the next few years.
That's exactly where we're playing.
So here's the thing, users want to have customers know more about them so they can serve them better, but we don't want to give them permission to see what makes us tick. So that's the real challenge. I suppose Twitter helps there because it generally is fairly public. You can look through everyone's tweets and find out. But when you have more discrete networks, and every country is different. In the Netherlands, Facebook doesn't really exist, it's Hives, and that's also locked down. So I think brands are frustrated that they want to get access to this stuff.
Anonymizing and aggregating could be the way to do this. So you say, men between the ages of 13 and 45 tend to do this. You don't give people's names and so on, but you give behavioural information.
One thing we really talked about as a panel is an event that happened a few months ago called the London Riots. Everyone remember that? Probably, yeah, most people remember. Looking at that as a case study, what could we learn from that? Clearly it was a massive incident, tragic consequences. Everyone heard about it. How could we learn from something as amazing in all senses of the word, what happened in those 4 nights, and actually do something for good? And maybe some free advice from the Met Police, what should they be doing? Giles, what would you have done if we had a heads up what was happening?
So I asked our staff this question, and I got a whole bunch of really interesting stuff back. So the first thing to note is that those riots, a lot of the messaging that went on around those riots was done on BlackBerry messaging. So it was a private network. It's impossible to get a lot of that data. And also another kind of meta point is that some social media activity in the form of kind of crowd management works for the good, take Egypt, and some works for the not so good, take London. So it's an incredibly difficult and thorny area, and the language that people use around, so let's assume it is public to start with, so you can grab hold of this data and look at it. The language that is used around this, the riots versus the uprising, is it very different? Well, I don't know, we haven't done the analysis, but there is a branch of sentiment analysis, which I haven't heard of actually before, I was on this morning, called hate language detection, which could be an interesting area of research into this. For me, there's a couple of things that could be done. Number one is if you can figure out patterns of language and then look at the period beforehand and normalize some activity, then when things start to change, you could build a quite smart alerting system that would point an individual, somebody who has experience and is not a complete muppet, to say, there's something going on here, you probably want to have a look at it. And then a human being can interpret it as either being a threat or not or whatever. But you do end up getting into this very thorny. One of the guys on my team this morning just wrote out and said, discourage all of this. This is not something that we want to be involved with. Well, there is this kind of big brothery, Daily Mail type kind of, oh my God, the whole world's going to riot. Maybe not. Maybe there's a protest. Maybe there's valid voices being expressed. So I think that there's some interesting problems. But I still think that at least getting hold of unusual data streams and giving them to people who understand the area could be a beneficial thing in pseudo real time.
Tim, ladies, please.
Oh, sorry, John.
Ladies, please, yes. You go.
Yeah, I wrote a lot about the London riots. I found the whole thing very interesting to see how it played out on social media, and also how some of the good stuff played out on social media, the cleanup, a lot of meetup groups centered around trying to clean up London. I am your team member who says discourage this from happening, because I think that we can get to a very dangerous place where there's a sort of pre-crime, a sort of minority report where you tweeted this and now you're in jail. I really do think that we have to watch that. But I also would caution you to be careful of what you post on social media. I think when we all first started, it was very cozy. You had your friends, and it was mostly your family, and now it is becoming increasingly public. And even though Facebook is moving to give you more permissions, you'll find that everything Facebook does tend to move towards publicizing things, in my opinion, and with Google Plus as well. Just be careful, because nobody really knows if there is going to be sentiment analysis, or what do you say, hate language analysis, but it does bode well to don't say anything that you wouldn't want a whole lot of people to read, and that goes for your business as well. Just be very careful on how you're portrayed. But yes, I agree, just discourage that, because I just think it could wind up snowballing.
Josh, discourage or promote?
So I think, as Tanya said, there were actually some really positive aspects of social media throughout the riots. For me personally, I used it quite a lot to see what was going on where, and find out was there riots happening in Camden when I was on my way home, kind of thing. And I think that's something which could have actually been used a lot more positively by the police and the government. During the Queensland floods in Australia, the Queensland police actually started using Conversation Social because they found they were getting a huge number of queries through Twitter and Facebook asking for information, asking what was going on, and they decided to really get on top of that and use it as a big communications channel. And it actually worked really, really well for them. And I think that's something that other police forces could be doing a lot more. There's this, the whole city's going into chaos, no one knows what's going on. People are turning onto Facebook and Twitter trying to find out what's going on, and they could have used that proactively to communicate with better.
So really it's Metropolitan Police customer service. And you mentioned the word Muppets. I'm not suggesting the police are Muppets, but do you need to have a different breed of person understanding what's going on and not just your standard copper who's doing this? Do they need to know a bit more about social media?
I think they need to be smart and have lots of common sense and be empowered and the sort of person you trust to communicate in the right tone of voice for your brand. I mean, one of the interesting things about the riot, I think, was you had the initial riot, and then the days that followed on Twitter, there was so much sort of disinformation and rumour mongering, and it was fascinating. We all kind of unfortunately love a sort of disaster unfolding if we're not actually in there having our car torched. And I think there was a kind of lack of an official voice, perhaps, coming in. That could have been an opportunity for the police to say, actually, this is happening right now in Camden, as opposed to people going, oh my God, I just heard they're boarding up all the shops, and I think there was a real struggle for official channels to sort of go, this isn't helping, this is spreading panic. So maybe if they were geared up to respond in that way, but maybe almost take it off Twitter, so kind of, here's the latest happening. You need a process of verification, so in a way it's great for people to be saying that this is happening on my street right now as an information source, but there needs to be a place where people can go to see that's verified, yeah, that is in fact the case, rather than panicking.
And ironically, during the riot, some of the members of the government wanted to shut it down and said, let's just turn it all off. And Louise Mensch famously said, let's just turn off BlackBerry for a few moments and no one will notice. And we all obviously know that they decided not to do that. I think they had some common sense drugs injected into them between saying that and having Facebook, Twitter and BBM go meet with them, because they then said, what a great idea, let's actually use it for intelligence gathering and working on what's going on and having a way of understanding whether it's right or wrong, because you're almost destroying evidence if you turn it all off, because people did say what they were going to do. So, any final questions before we wrap up? Anything that you're itching to hear from us? BMI is coming up next. Someone did tweet where they are. I'm sorry we bored you. So BMI next. Adam at the back, last question is yours. And your Twitter name, please, so we can follow you and flame you.
Adam Nurse 10. Thanks for that, very interesting. I think the lady mentioned at the beginning about how social media monitoring tools can be used for genuine insight into R&D, and I wondered if anybody on the panel had examples of how people have changed their product genuinely innovative based on social insight.
One thing we're doing at the moment for US agencies, they came and said to us, you've got all these tweets, can you look at what people watch on television and almost mirror what Nielsen are doing? So we've actually built a TV analytics tool. It does a couple of things. It looks at, in the US, 900 TV shows and filters things out. But it also does demographics to look at if someone says they're attending college, Smith College, you can work out what sort of college demographic that is. So we've used this data store to slice and dice and work out what people are looking at or wanting to do on television. We're going to extend that to newspaper and music. So we're now looking at social media as a proxy for traditional market research, and that I think is bleeding edge stuff. And everyone's saying it'll never be the same, it's only Twitter. And I have been given some Nielsen data, I'm going to run it against and cross my fingers for the UK. Hopefully it'll be very similar. That's one thing. What about you, Josh? You doing something?
Yeah, we think kind of insights are really interesting areas, and it's going to be increasing a lot in the next few years. One of the things similar to we were talking about earlier, this kind of social net promoter score, we're seeing a lot of companies, especially retailers, really start to track the sentiment of interactions that are happening in their Facebook page, in their Twitter account. A lot of them are posting deals or offers or photos of different products they have, and they're looking at the sentiment of interactions that they're getting around those products and seeing how those correlate to things like revenue through their websites. And I think that's an area that's going to really go up because it allows them to see direct ROI benefits of what they're doing in social.
I'll give an example of a product that, so we are monitoring for a large pharmaceutical company across Latin America, and they wanted to understand better the patient journey around diabetes. And the insights that we've got from that pharmaceuticals is an interesting one because it can't, a lot of the insights can't necessarily be used for direct communication. But what they have done is feed in the insights into the packaging and the information provided with products. So they found a lot of diabetes patients were really confused about insulin pens versus pumps. And the brand had no idea that this was an issue. They thought it was a kind of no-brainer. And that's not necessarily a product, but it has actually resulted in a better product with better information. The other thing we're looking at is we're still in the middle of it, but we are looking for a big car manufacturer at the Russian market. They're really interested in the younger part of the Russian market and what they might want in the car in the future in 5 years' time. It's a bit of a blind spot for them, like this when he runs that market. They think, they sense they might have a very stereotypical view of the typical Russian, that they like bling and they like dynasty and all of that, and that they're aware that the younger generation are connected, global. And so they're trying to understand trends over there in art, music, fashion, design.